you feel about sleeping and flying away?
Good morning, everyone. It is March 23rd, 2 days removed from my little work trip. This is the first real long run workout that I've had of this entire block. My coach has kind of taken almost like a bottom up approach when it comes to my base and my current fitness, building into speed in shorter distances like the 5K and the half marathon in order to build speed in the marathon. I'm currently 2 weeks out from my first ever half marathon race, the Gulf Coast Half Marathon in Pensacola, Florida. And I'm also throwing in this week a 5K this Friday. Obviously my first ever 5K, the Gasparilla Distance Classic, which was a month ago now, didn't really go how I thought it would. It didn't go how I wanted to. And obviously, even despite these races coming up, my main goal in all of this is to go sub 255 in the Vermont City Marathon. So while fitness is obviously paramount to your race result, your mentality and your preparation going into it is just as important as that fitness itself. And that's what I'm trying to focus on this week going into this 5K and next week going into my half, so that I can achieve my best result on race day in 9 weeks time. So the workout for today is going to be 2 miles up into a workout of 6 to 7 miles, alternating half miles at 15 minutes more than my half marathon pace and then 15 minutes less than my half marathon pace. So I'm going to go out at 6:25. So that would mean that I'm going to run my first 800 meters or half a mile at 6:40 per mile, and then the subsequent 800 meters or half a mile after that first half mile at 6:10 per mile. 2 mile warm up done, time to get into the workout. Just stop by the car real quick. I'm gonna have to take this off. This is a Norda and Soar, it's like a merino silk shirt. Keeps you so warm, honestly too warm. It's a little too hot. And I know once I get into these reps, I'm gonna wanna take this off, so I'm just taking it off now. It was inevitable. That was low-key a brutal session, but it wasn't too bad. Brutal is a little extreme, a little dramatic, and I actually felt really good. No super shoes today, obviously. Got the Endorphin Speed 4s on. As you know, my favorite running shoes of all time. No super shoes necessary to crush that workout. I'll throw the splits up. They were good though. Felt good. Gonna take like a 1 or 2 minute rest here. Get some water and cool it down. Great Sunday. Checking in for our typical Tuesday track session. We are 3 days out from the Dolly Crit 5K. Yesterday, only 40 minutes. Really easy recovery pace. Didn't want to put too much on the legs, but I'm starting to get to that mode where if I don't run every day, it doesn't matter how much mobility work I do, it doesn't matter how much elliptical stuff that I do, I don't feel right the next day if I don't run the day before. But no track this morning, afternoon speed session. So essentially it's going to be a 3x2 mile at 10K and then half marathon pace followed by a 5-minute recovery jog times 3. So 3 of those sets with a 2 mile warm up, 2 mile cool down. I'm going to hit my warm up miles in the A6 Super Blast 2. And after I'm done with my warm up, I'll come back to the car and run this workout in the Saucony Endorphin Pro 4. Switching shoes right now. 2 mile warm up's done. Not gonna lie, these first couple reps probably gonna be brutal. Headwinds probably pushing like 15 miles an hour. Right in my face, of course. But you know, conditions never gonna be perfect. Hardly ever, if ever. Probably never. Got the District Vision split shorts on. Feeling fast. All right, y'all. Quick thoughts after that session right there. The session that I did Sunday that I felt really good on, felt like I absolutely crushed it. No carbon-plated shoes. This one was much more difficult. It's a good 20 degrees warmer. The wind's probably a good 10 degrees.
The wind's probably a good 10 miles per hour harder. And those paces felt more difficult in these shoes than they did on Sunday. Nevertheless, we got it done. But man. Alright, let's get this cool down in. I'll see you all at the car.
I am still trying to PR my 5K. Another reason why I want to run this 5K, and this kind of goes into my half marathon next weekend, is I want to throw on my race day shoes for the first time since my marathon. I haven't really talked about shoes that much or what I like to wear other than in my first couple videos. I primarily run in the Saucony Endorphin Speed 4s, the Asics Super Blast 2. My session shoes so far for this block have been the Saucony Endorphin Pro 4s, but I'm looking for another session shoe because I think those shoes are, first of all, starting to lose a little bit of pop because now I have about 200 miles on them and they're not as responsive as they used to be. Obviously, I ran my first 5K in those shoes, but not this 5K. This race, I will be running in my marathon shoes, the alphafly 3s. So I feel like the 5K will be a great way to kind of warm them back up. I'll definitely be wearing these for my half marathon the next weekend as well. So I'll probably get those two races in these shoes, probably another session to see how they feel after my half marathon, and then maybe make a decision as to whether I should get a different pair of super shoes for my eventual marathon race day. And this is not me saying that I don't like these shoes, because I love them, honestly. It's just I haven't tried any other ones, and I feel like I need to try one of either the Asics Metaspeed Sky Edge, or maybe even the Saucony Endorphin Elite 2s. I don't know, those are kind of the two shoes that I'm looking at for my possible other race day shoes. And tomorrow I'm going to do a little bit of a shakeout in the morning, probably good 3-4 easy miles before my race in the evening. So I'm going to see you guys then. Race day. 5 o'clock in the afternoon on race day here. Did a short little shakeout this morning, only a little less than 3 miles, 2.8 miles, at like an 8:30 pace, just to kind of flush the legs out, see how I'm feeling going into today. I'm sort of using this as a training run, something to gauge where my fitness is at right now, going into my half next weekend, which is crazy that I have my first ever half marathon next weekend. Obviously, I'll be using these electrolytes in the future as well on some of my long runs, and just some of my runs in general in the mornings. But the thing is usually I cut off all caffeine consumption at 12 noon every single day. If you didn't know, the half-life of caffeine tends to be around 10 hours, and I don't like it interfering with my sleep, so I tend to cut off caffeine consumption at 12 noon every single day. No ifs, ands, or buts. But today we're going to make an exception because I'm just really excited to try this. So we're trying out the Cadence Electrolyte Pack Tropical Surge. Tropical Surge. And in terms of the race day kit today, I'm actually wearing the same outfit that I wore on race day for my marathon.
The black one, yeah. I thought it was with that belt.
Oh my God!
Stay right there, Crosby.
There you go, John! There
you go, Jamie, let's go!
It's late, getting back home finally now. It's almost midnight actually. But I wanted to do a race recap just because I didn't do one for my first 5K. And I think there's a lot to talk about with that race and that result. Technically, I crossed the finish line in 17:59. And although I felt like I executed that race much better than my first 5K, I feel like I still have a lot to learn, and I feel like I still could have ran that race probably a good 10 seconds faster, maybe even faster than that. Honestly, I have no idea what I'm really capable of, because I still feel like I'm not pushing myself hard enough in the 5K. In those first two races, I feel like I've left something out there, left something in the tank. Tonight's conditions, like you guys could see, With the wind, it was pretty warm out. It was 77 degrees at race start, and the wind was probably blowing a good 15 or 20 miles per hour. And it wasn't bad. I'm not going to act like, we were running in hurricane force winds out there. The splits were decent at 5:51, then a 6:02 second mile, and a 5:52 final mile. Probably the first 2 kilometers of that course, I stuck with people who I thought would be running a similar time to me, and people who seemed to be running decently up until that point. And around that 2K, 1.5 mile moment, I felt like I was going slow. Like I was like, I'm not picking up the pace here at all. Like I'm losing pace, and I'm looking at these people around me. I'm like, they're slowing down. I'm running too slow right now. Like I feel like this is easy. My heart rate actually starts to dip a little bit because I think I wasn't pushing myself. And I just realized that, and I love when runners talk about making a move. And I feel like that's exactly what I did. Just turned it up a little bit and kept going. And unfortunately, I think that shaved off, again, probably a good 10 seconds for me on that second mile, because I ran a 6:02. And I ran a pretty consistent split the rest of the way up until, again, probably the last 500 to 600 meters of that race in that headwind. I felt like I had so much more in the tank. I was able to kick at a sub 5 minute per mile pace for the past 300 to 400 meters or so. So it's all a learning process. This is only the second 5K I've ever ran in my life. And again, from an 18:45 to a 17:59 in a month is great. I have nothing to be mad at. I'm gonna take it as a W, compartmentalize it, think about it, and move on to the next race. I still have a half marathon next weekend, and that really is my main goal. This was kind of like a D race in terms of this block. If I'm doing 4 races, 2 5Ks, a half, and a marathon, I would say that this race was unplanned, first of all, and probably the least important of all of them. So to be able to have this result is pretty encouraging going into my half next weekend. I'm happy. I feel like I'm in a good spot, and I am going to do my long run tomorrow. It's going to be 12 to 14 miles at a steady pace, not doing any crazy workout like last Sunday. Really just trying to knock out some miles and go into next week feeling strong and feeling ready for my half. So I'll see you guys in the morning. So as you can tell, it's not the morning. I slept in, got a great night's sleep, but my punishment for sleeping in is going to be running in the afternoon here. I'm gonna keep the effort steady, but not push it too hard. I have had some decent sessions this week, including obviously a PR 5K last night. But if I hit 13 miles today, my 7-day mileage is gonna be, I think, 57 or 58 miles, which is great, but is easily the most I have accumulated in a 7-day span this block. So going into my half next weekend, don't want to do anything too crazy, so gonna keep the effort steady. And also, I didn't talk about the cadence drink too much last night, but I felt so locked in when I got to the starting line of that race. If I had to give it a rating, I would give this an 8.7 based on performance and taste and flavor. 8.7 for the cadence race day. Get into my warm-up. Let's go crush it. 1 week out, Gulf Coast Half Marathon. 8 weeks out, Vermont City Marathon.
Alright, let's get this cool down. Not this cool down. This cool down. Yeah, that was brutal. On tired legs, pretty brutal session right there. 12 miles at a 7:41 pace. I took those first 7.5 pretty easy, and that kind of goes into my 3x1 mile. That was all effort based. Told myself I wanted to run that at marathon pace sort of effort. And right at the start of that, my legs started to feel pretty tired. And I kind of held a 7-minute per mile pace that entire time. And I did it 7.5 miles to 10.5 miles, so I don't have my true splits. But with my 9th and 10th mile being 7:01 and 7:06 respectively,
I'm pretty happy about that effort. My totals for the past 7 days, so last Sunday to today, March 29th, are 57.8 miles. Easily the most I've hit in a week this entire block. Thank you so much for watching another week of my training. I can't tell you enough. If you've liked, subscribed, commented, turn the notification bell on, that I really appreciate you for following along on this journey. Thank you all for showing love, and I will see you in the next one. Be good. Peace.
Then roll me away.